I'm a fan of fantasy, so I listen to Easy and Alan on their Just a Fantasy Fan podcast. During the show, you can live chat with Easy and Alan at LennyMelnickFantasySports.com. Rumour has it, Lenny only swings one way, with launch angle. Now here's Easy and Chris Allen.
That's right. It's a Wednesday night at 10 o'clock at LennyMelnickFantasySports.com, the Legend Sports Network, a Fantasy Fan Sportscast with me and the fantasy weather guy on the other side here. How you doing, Chris Allen?
I'm doing all right. Really excited for the draft tomorrow. So I think now it's going to be nothing but a flurry of Twitter activity now with people getting in their last minute takes before the first round hits us tomorrow evening. But I've just kind of stepped back and I'm just watching it all.
Boring. No, we'll get into that. You know, that's the meat of the show tonight. The meat of the show. And you know we don't start
until at least quarter to 11.
Start with the meat of the show.
Yeah.
But this is your first show with me trying our new streaming software. This is a test. So, you know, if you're looking at us on YouTube, we're there. And at LennyMelnickFantasySports.com, there's a link there now where you can see the chat room and the video at the same time. But you can see we've kind of got it a little different setup now. And hopefully we have less issues and I look prettier. That was important. Now, I did notice that you still are green screenless. I was excited. I even made sure my green screen was working tonight because I didn't want to be I didn't want to be green screened up. You know, I didn't want to be shown up or anything like that. So,
right.
You know, but I did notice that your background is still.
This could be a green screen.
The award-winning, you know, medal is still there, and that's important.
Well, that's all that's important, really. I mean, but this could be a green screen of just my normal office, though. Well, did you think about that?
That is a good. All right. Okay, I see. Right. Behind you, it could be beautiful, you know, Hawaiian mountain sunset. Right. And you didn't want to distract the people. So you put up a green screen of what's behind your desk.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I could change this at a moment's notice if people really wanted to, but I just prefer to show people my jumbled office instead.
Okay. And I went with my, you know, I'm at this football, you know, I'm at the ground level.
You're a consummate professional tonight. Look at you.
I did go. I mean, I went college tonight. This tonight is still college now. I mean, tonight, these guys are still college guys, you know, so tomorrow night, I will have my Bengals gear on. Tomorrow night, all about my team. But tonight,
pick number 11.
Right. Tonight, it's it's the Buckeyes. It's about, you know, the colleges. So, you know, we will get into that. We got some big topics. Big topics. We're going to, maybe even some controversial stuff. You know, if we decide to get into that. But first of all, just because I know Lou's out there in the chat room, Andrea was also, you know, we got to throw out a few minutes of hockey, you know, that, you know, because the Blue Jackets, I mean, they're just, you know, they're getting ready for their next season. I mean, the Stanley Cup's going to be in Ohio this year. We all know that already. It's going to happen. It's just the way it's going to be. But we did find out last night that we're going to be playing the Boston Bruins.
Right.
Do you know any more about hockey than I do?
No, absolutely not.
There you go. And you don't even know what I know. You already know you know. Right.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. I know who the Boston Bruins are because I know that they
Boston is in their name. I mean,
they won the Stanley Cup. I know they won the Stanley Cup.
All right. So you know that they have, you know, right. I mean, it's Boston. You know, who doesn't hate loving hating Boston?
I mean, between the Bruins, the Red Sox, and the Patriots, I mean, they just have so many franchises winning championships and whatnot. I mean, it's just a privileged area of the country to live in.
Right. And Lou's leaving us. Lou is a Toronto. He was Yeah, he's in California now, but he did born and raised, I think. Maybe not born. I just know he spent a lot of time in Toronto. Maybe born.
Okay.
And he was a little upset that Toronto lost last night in a game 7.
Maple Leafs?
Yeah, Toronto Maple Leafs. That's his team.
I know a couple of things.
That's good. Okay, wait a minute. I know a lot of mascots. That does not mean I know hockey.
The mascots.
Okay, I'll give you the cities. I'm not going to name that many, but what? Calgary, what?
All right, you lost me already.
Flames, Calgary Flames.
See, I would never have gotten there.
Okay, I mean, so I knew that one. Now, because they played last night I did get wrapped up into hockey last night. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
You went down that wormhole, huh?
Oh, but it was maybe one of the best wormholes I could have gotten wrapped up into. But one of the teams in there was San Antonio. Do you know who they are? The San Antonio
Sharks?
Booyah! Chris, you are the man. You are the man. Washington.
Oh, Caps.
There, all right. Chicago.
Oh, you lost me.
Blackhawks.
Oh, the Blackhawks. Yeah, because I know. Yeah, I got a buddy that roots for them. Okay, all right.
The New York
Rangers.
Very good. New Jersey.
Lost me. Pass.
Devils.
Oh, okay.
No,
yeah.
My point is, I still agree. Me and you know the same amount about hockey, but I at least know. I mean, I think teams and mascot names just kind of stick with me. Colorado. Avalanche.
Avalanche. I was going to say Rockies, but no, that's not right. That's baseball.
Right.
Yeah.
So, that's my point. I mean, we have the word sportscast. Wait, easy mislead you. What did I mess up? Did I mess up one?
It's the San Jose Sharks.
San Jose. All right. Okay.
Which makes so much more sense considering they live it's on the coast versus San Antonio.
What did I did say San Antonio, Texas. Yeah, that's wrong. You're right. I had it right. I just said the wrong city. That is my fault.
Okay. I'll say San Antonio Sharks. That makes no sense.
Right. Okay. Well, sometimes it does because they move around every once in a while.
Right.
Okay, but I'd even have to stop and think of more cities. But that is our hockey. But last night, obviously, I'm no hockey guy. I have watched it in the past here and there. Last night, the round table went till after midnight. Actually, we went to only like 12:15. Actually, it was a pretty.
Oh, you cut it a bit short.
A bit short.
Look at you.
But as soon as it was over, went over, turned some baseball on, and checked out a few things. And then I knew there was a couple game 7s of hockey, so I thought, well, let me see what's on. And I turned it on just in time for, this. And actually, even my notes, I have San Antonio written down, but
leading me astray.
San Jose, right? The Sharks versus Las Vegas, which Las Vegas is a newer team. I don't even. Lou might put in there. Lou, I don't think they've had a franchise for this. Might be their second or third year. I don't think it's
the Golden Knights.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, very good.
I have heard of them.
But my point is, I mean, I didn't grow up with them, so I don't even know where the hell they came from. But I did turn on that game 7 in the third period, and it was a 3-0 hockey game, which I do know enough about hockey to know third period 3-0, probably over. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not quite soccer. But,
that's pretty, but I was going to say that's a pretty good corollary, though.
Right. Okay. But then things happen that I've never seen. I did not know the difference between a major and a minor penalty.
No, I don't know that either.
Okay. I do now. First of all, I know what a minor is now. See, but I thought technically what I know as a minor, I thought was always the same. And that means it's usually a 2 or a 5-minute penalty. Could be some other times. Lou is hating us right now because Lou is a hockey guy. So, but it's usually 2 or 5 minutes that I've ever seen. And I just thought that was it. And usually what happens, obviously you have to take one of your skaters off the rink, and it's called a power play. And you have one more player than the other team. You have an advantage.
Right.
The thing I always knew, though, is if you score during that time, the power play ends.
Okay.
I don't know if you knew that, meaning it didn't matter if you score in the first 10 seconds of a 2-minute penalty. As soon as you score, the other guy gets to come back on the ice. So you lose the advantage. So you're only going to have the advantage for 2 minutes or a score, whichever happens first. I did not know until last night that in a major, it doesn't matter if you score or not. You're going to have the advantage
for the whole time. The
whole 5 minutes. Ooh. You are going to have the advantage.
Yeah.
So, right. Lou should be here, but that's fine. That's why we're doing this. That's why when do we do the meet? This is like not
40 minutes. This is just us trying to build up to the meet.
Right. Yeah. But by then people stop listening or someone finds us by accident.
Right.
So they're not listening to this part.
So I thought these guys talked about football and they're talking about hockey.
Hey, we don't put football. We don't put any sport in our name.
Right. We're just a sports
sport. So
award-winning sports podcast.
Green screening podcast.
Absolutely.
Not a lot of them out there.
No.
So a 5-minute major is a pretty big deal. Something I didn't know until last night.
So what do you have to do in order to get a 5-minute major? Is that like when you get into a fight?
That is a very good question, because what happened last night still is kind of up in the air if it should have been called a major.
Okay.
The technical hockey terms I may have off just a little bit, but
Lou will correct you in the real quick. If
Lou will. I know Lou can't even leave now. He was leaving 5 minutes ago. Now
he's waiting for you to screw this up.
Right. Okay. They're doing a face-off, which I'm pretty sure is the right term. You know, they're doing a face-off. That's where the guy with that red and white checkered thing is dropping a puck between two hockey guys.
Now, are they called referees or are they called umps?
I don't know. They're called right. Lou, are those referees in hockey? Or I don't think they're umpires.
Right. So what are they called?
What are they called? I think refs.
Oh, okay, just called refs. Okay, that's fine.
Officials, maybe officials.
Oh, okay, that's better.
But better. We're going to change it even if we're wrong. Ref. Okay, Lou is saying refs. So
we got that right. Okay.
He drops the puck.
Uh-huh.
The other guy, the guy who wins technically the face-off, then I think they just called check. He checks the guy that he faced off against.
Okay.
Checking means he's bodying him up. He's hitting him fairly hard, and as he hits him hard, another guy comes across and also hits him, and he loses. And I've heard this term multiple times today in other podcasts that he lost his footing, but they're on blades. You know, he. So I don't the word footing. I've
lost his balance.
He lost. Right. He lost everything. His feet were no longer touching anything, nor were those blades touching the ice. Now, should I make fun? The guy fell very hard on his head.
Oh, okay.
He is out.
Okay.
And we have the one thing that I think most hockey fans want to see, but no one wants ever to happen, and that's we have blood on the ice.
Oh, shit.
So the referees don't call the major until after they realize how hurt the guy is. So that's the first problem. The coach of the losing team now is upset because his point is, wait a minute, just because he bled doesn't mean this should have been a major, but it was.
Right.
So that was it. It wasn't very ugly. I mean, they had to stop. They had to take, the guy was hurt. Now, I haven't heard. I've heard a few things. I don't think he was hurt as bad as what the situation seemed at the moment. That doesn't mean there's not a concussion type thing, but
sure.
I mean, so
nobody ever wants to see that.
Refs and linemen. And Lou is having a ball now, just typing everything in there, even though me and you aren't reading it. But Lou, we got it right. Dangerous illegal is major, and that's the question. Some people are saying that this seemed dangerous and illegal because of what happened, not the way it happened. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, because there's blood on the ice, that seems. But because of this major, the team that is down 3-0,
they get 5 minutes.
They get 5 minutes to have an advantage.
Yeah.
And they score 3 goals during that 5 minutes. So they go right. So they go from down 3 to tied. And then they score again. They score 4 goals
What were the? I needed to know. I need to know who was the guy that.
I'm not getting.
I want to know who bet on that team that was down 3 goals to win.
Like that live score. That live.
Yeah, the live odds on that. Right. Oh,
nobody,
man.
Chris, nobody did. Oh. No, you don't think there's one guy, one, and I'm gonna say Boston Bruins weren't playing. One Vegas guy was going, we're not gonna lose, but if we do, I want to win some money, so I'm gonna put money on it. But so they end up going from 3 down to 1 up. So they go 1 up. Mm-hmm. With less than a minute to go, they have to pull. You know what they mean in hockey when you pull your goalie? Meaning you pull your goalie and put a regular skater out because it doesn't matter if the other team scores now. You have to score.
You have to score. Yes. I've seen that.
Right. So that's the key. San Jose is now winning by 1. They're playing in San Jose. The crowd's going nuts. Las Vegas pulls their goalie. And with less than 30 seconds to go, they score to tie it up. So it's going to go into overtime.
Oh my gosh.
That technically, in as good of hockey terms I can tell you, that was the third period of hockey. It was phenomenal. And I didn't even know what I was watching. I just knew it was awesome.
Yeah, I want to see the live odds on that from
I'm just saying. I've watched a lot of sports, and when somebody is down that much and then comes back, and then they think they have it won, but then the other guy comes back and ties it up, and it's like, oh no, now it's going into overtime, and the overtime was phenomenal. There was a ton of action, and then San Jose wins it at home with I think 2 minutes left of a 14-minute overtime. So they played like 12 minutes of overtime.
I'd be
awesome. Lou, I for one night. For I don't know an hour, so I didn't go to bed till almost 2:00 in the morning because I was watching hockey, Chris.
Oh my gosh,
we are a hockey podcast now. We've done a hockey show,
so this is an award-winning hockey podcast,
right? Even though we don't know anything, we don't know any of the terms.
Well, hey, we're still award-winning.
Right, Lewis saying he's more interested now in listening to 2 of us talk.
Right,
people actually know what they're talking about. But
that's pretty bad.
But my point is, and I think that's what Lou would say as a hockey guy, sometimes you have to give this stuff a chance. And when you do, if it happens to be that type of a game, I don't even know, is hockey a match? Is it a game? What do they call it? Baseball is a game. Mm-hmm. Football is a game. Soccer is a match, right?
Yeah.
So what is hockey? I don't know. I don't even know what it's called. I mean, I know there's 3 periods and all that, but I'm just saying, Chris, you didn't have to be a fan to not start that 3rd period and at the end go, holy, that was awesome. It really was. So,
right.
Definitely will make me watch. I know we have the draft tomorrow, but tomorrow the Bruins and the Blue Jackets start. So I'm probably more likely to now watch a little more hockey. It was really phenomenal. It was really an hour of great sporting event. So,
that's one of those like once in a lifetime type of occurrences.
I'm trying to even think. I mean, I don't think you have to be a boxing fan to have maybe, got to see, Muhammad Ali versus George Foreman or something like that, where you just, they had like 4 rounds that were just like, oh my Lord, I didn't know what it was, but now I'm hooked. I mean, there's just those things, you didn't have to be a baseball fan in the 70s to see the Red Sox and the Reds, in 1975 in the 6th game,
serious, yeah.
And the guy waving the ball to, it was sometimes you just have to be watching at the right time to get, and again, I had a little quick note. We weren't going to talk much about it, but I talked about a month ago about the UCLA versus Oklahoma girls gymnastics.
Oh yeah, the woman that hurt herself.
Head to head. Well, no, not the girl who hurt herself. That was last week. That was in the championship.
Right.
It was a few weeks, like 3 weeks ago, when number 1 team versus number 2 team just went head to head.
Yes.
And it went down to the last event, and the one team won by 8/10 of a point or something like that. Now, this weekend was the NCAA finals technically the Final Four of gymnastics, and both of those teams did make it. Oklahoma, UCLA, LSU, and Denver. Denver. I didn't even know there was a college there, but they Denver, and I ended up watching it. Here's the deal, though. It was not near as exciting as the other two because Oklahoma kicked ass. They were in the league almost the whole time.
Yeah.
They won by scoring the second most points of all time in an NCAA final women's gymnastics. It was fun. I mean, they were just on.
Okay.
They never got any perfect 10s, which they were kind of known for having a few girls that would get that, but they were all getting 9.98s, 9.95s. I mean, they were just bam, bam, bam. I mean, it's pretty neat to watch. It wasn't a close event, but you were watching a good team that was full of ex-Olympic, girls that now going to college, just,
Yeah.
the same thing. I mean, it's just when like I said, I'm just saying the hockey thing, it was the right time. I've never, he doesn't watch soccer, but that has never happened to me in soccer. I've never I shouldn't say that. I mean, I watched the women's world champion when they won back like 30 some years ago, like in 96, or when I say 30 years ago, wasn't that? I mean, 15 years ago. There was a year back there where the USA women weren't necessarily supposed to win the World Cup, but they did.
Okay.
That was a pretty big deal, but it still didn't hook me on soccer, meaning it just looked like an exciting soccer match, but not something that doesn't happen normally. This hockey thing seemed to me like something you don't see every day. Even if you're a hockky guy, meaning, and Lou might put it in there. I don't know how many 5-minute majors happen in a season, let alone in a champion. In a seven, in a final game of a 7.
That many goals all at once? Yeah, no way.
Yeah, right. So it just looked like something that didn't happen on an everyday thing. So it was fun. So Chris, watch a little hockey. That's all I'm saying.
All right, fine.
Put your Blue Jackets gear on. Now I doubt tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be hard.
I think there's something going on tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. We'll get there.
No, we still got at least another 20 minutes.
This is the topic. Yeah, this is a topic that this is a little touchy, and I'm being honest now.
Oh boy, this ought to be good.
I don't know. Okay, a baseball player got a 1-game suspension
for the bat flipping.
Well, that started it, but that's not why he got the suspension. Do you know why he got?
Yes, I know why he got suspended because he said
that by doing something. Okay, saying something that in the NBA
through their investigation, they found out he said the N-word like during the fight.
Right.
Okay.
But again, I know, and I mean, and unfortunately, I think you do have to say in the story, he is, of color. I mean, I don't even know. I don't want to get into that. But my point is, in the NBA, it happens all the time. I mean, not out loud necessarily, but they even say, I mean, what he said, I think in his life, which I did a little more reading on him. I mean, he grew up a little hard. I mean, this isn't this to him was a little trash talk, not necessarily.
Yeah, I think
he was bad, and he wasn't. I mean, he meant what he said, I think.
Right.
But again, I just thought it was a little,
They found they were looking for a reason to punish somebody, and unless they could come out, there's no evidence to support what their claim. Right. So unless they have an audio recording, you're basically taking this off of hearsay. So to me, it just looks like they were trying to
deny it, though.
Right.
Not that I've seen anywhere. I mean, he hasn't denied it. It's just, like I said, other people are just saying, hey, he said what he just said what he said.
The MLB, I think, in terms of the conservative nature, not conservative political, but I'm just saying conservative nature of the sport. I would say they're the ones that are like the farthest behind of any sport. I'd say the NFL is like is pretty close to them. But when it comes to,
the NBA is probably the least.
Oh yeah, the NBA is the most progressive. I mean, look at the stuff that they've let LeBron wear in like his social dealings and all that. a lot of the players. I mean, Russell Westbrook. I mean, and the stuff that he says. I mean, the altercations or like the altercations he's had with fans. I mean, those types of things. The NBA has probably been the most progressive sport, at least within the United States. But yeah, the MLB, like, looks like they're a little bit behind the times when it comes to what players can say, what players can do. I mean, that sort of thing.
I just thought it was a little, because when I was, I just turned 57. When I was roughly 27-ish, I was, I played in a Dayton men's rec basketball league. I got to tell you, the first night I went out and played, I had to stop and go, you really just thought everybody, the conversations that were going on, I had played, so I am up from a little more, that
was a different time though. I mean, that's the 80s. I mean,
it was roughly 85 to 87. And, I had to quickly go, okay, I mean, that's the norm. I mean, these guys were trash talk. At that point of my life, I wasn't even sure what that meant necessarily, but I learned in a hurry. Now, I didn't get involved in the trash talk.
Good for you. Don't do it.
I did not, I decided that wasn't a part of the game. One, my basketball game wasn't good enough to support any trash talk. Anyway, I was a supporting character. Sure. I mean, I wasn't terrible, but I was, we actually were a very competitive team. We had a couple ex-college guys and blah, blah, blah. And I can hold my own, but I was, an off the bench kind of guy.
There you go. Yeah.
I wasn't bringing trash talk to the game.
Yeah, you were the sixth man.
My point is, everyone in that league, except maybe me, would have been suspended for a game or two if the refs were calling, these kind of rules. And, I don't know. And then the bat flipping, which I'm that way. I'm a curmudgeon. Someone's called me that in the past.
Please don't tell me you're anti-bat flip. Don't be that way.
I'm all for it. I'm all for
thank you.
Kids. I am that. Hey, who, why do old people think they have to be the ones that, ruin kids' fun? I mean, if they want to change the game and make that acceptable, let them do it. I don't care.
Right.
I mean, that's fine with me. I have no problem with bat flipping, or I don't even care. Flip whatever they want. Whatever.
My issue with the whole bat flipping thing was that while bat flipping is not accepted, throwing a 90-mile-an-hour fastball at the guy that bat flipped in order to get him to stop bat flipping, apparently that's accepted, and I don't understand that.
Say that right. Yeah.
So you're going to be mad at a guy for showing off, but then you're going to allow somebody to inflict bodily harm by, rocketing a baseball at somebody's body. And that's apparently accepted in order to get him to stop bat flipping. That makes no sense to me.
The problem is it's easier to know that bat flipping was done intentionally. No one accidentally throws a bat 15 feet in the air. Where, unfortunately, I've watched games where the pitcher didn't mean to hit anybody, but he still hit them.
Sure.
It's a little harder to say that was really,
intentional. You can't. Yeah, some cases you can't, but in some other cases you can tell that. Well, the one that started the fight. That one.
But he didn't throw at the head. He at least threw, at the rear end part, the lower part. Yesterday,
you're going to hit me in the kidney.
I get it. Both could be bad, but I get it. It's just hard.
Yeah. So I embarrassed you. So in retaliation, you're going to make me pee blood for the next 2 or 3 days because you popped me in the kidney. I don't understand why that. Of course, I'm going to come out and punch you in the face.
I did not put pee blood in our notes, but I might have to. If someone searches for that, we might.
Right. So now my hip's busted because you're mad.
Right. So. All right. I just wondered if you heard that. I just in sports today. I just thought that was kind of odd, but
I think it's ridiculous.
Kind of a unique thing. The other real important thing to me was back to maybe I am old. My wife made me watch the Beyonce documentary / concert on Netflix.
I heard about that. I have not watched it yet, but
am I just old that she's that famous, but I just couldn't come up with one song that I went, okay, I never heard that one. I never heard that. I
mean,
the only one she eventually got to that I went, okay, I've heard that, but I never thought that was even Beyonce. And that was, and I don't even know the title, but the Put a Ring on It song, whatever the hell.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I've ever heard. So I don't know if that's making me an old guy or just that's not my genre.
It's probably just not your jam, and that's okay. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Not my what? My jam?
Yeah, that's just not your jam.
Right. I like that. Not my jam. Beyonce's not my jam.
Well, that's okay.
Well, they did and it was intertwined. What I would say, it was a few minutes of documentary mixed in with like an hour and a half of concert, so they talked about her having, almost dying, having the babies and blah, 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 that kind of stuff. I mean, it wasn't like I didn't find it boring or anything. I mean, I found it somewhat entertaining, just the fact that I really sat down thinking, I bet I've heard something, because my wife and daughter do play that kind of music. It's on in the house here and there. But I just never, I'm sitting here thinking, well, I'm sure it's Beyonce. I mean, I hear the name before. I know she's somewhat famous.
Right.
I'm sure I've heard half of these songs. I kept going, nope, never heard that.
Don't know that one. Don't know that one.
Oh, that one. It was like, all right, maybe.
You tried.
Yeah, I tried, So, I mean, because I think, isn't she like kind of the top of the list right at the moment, roughly, as far as female singers? I mean,
it has to be, I'd assume.
Pretty high up there. I mean, maybe Lady Gaga.
I don't know. I mean, I would think in terms of record sales, I mean, you can't, there's nobody that can top her at this point.
Record sales are always a weird thing now, but I guess if we're starting if tomorrow there's a draft and we're drafting female singers,
she has to go in the first round.
Who are you in the first round? I'm curious who the first couple picks are.
She'd probably be the 1.01.
It's not my genre,
sure.
But I would assume the top three are maybe Beyonce, Lady Gaga.
Sure.
I got to even think now who I would even think is number three. I think of a lot of names, but none of them seem to be as big as those two. So that's my foray into, I guess, that's it.
Pop, R&B, like that sort of stuff.
Taylor Swift.
There we go. That's a good one.
I'm throwing Taylor Swift out there. Yeah. Now I think she's country, maybe a total genre, but I think she does pop. All right. I'm going to go with that.
There we go.
I would think Taylor Swift would be a top three pick, maybe.
Yeah.
And then it probably, it's like the NFL running backs. It's going to drop off quickly, but you're still going to get, Ariana, right? The Grande chick. I have heard real high-pitched girl, I think. I don't know that you could put her in the class with the three people we just named. I think she's pretty big right now, but the three that we named have been big for a while.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, is Rihanna, J-Lo's pretty big and been around a long time, but just because she's dating, and I think now, is she marrying a baseball guy? Are they?
Yeah, she's marrying A-Rod.
Are they engaged? They're engaged?
I think they got married.
They did?
I thought they got married.
Invited. Mrs. Easy must have not checked the mail.
It happens. It's probably got lost in the mail. That's all.
Right. And Rihanna, all right, okay. I mean, it looks like we could come up with a top 10. I mean, the first round, where's like Miley Cyrus these days? Is she still considered a top kind of female? No, I know there's a couple other country women that are pretty popular, but yeah. All right. I don't know any Beyonce. What can I say? I felt dumb and should have put a ring on it. Here's my other problem with concerts these days, at least this one and a few others they've made me watch on TV is, it's a 2-hour concert. And I think if you put a clock on actual singing versus no singing and just dancing, I think it was maybe not even 50-50. It seemed like there was more dancing going on than singing. And I guess in my point, when it's a concert, you're kind of paying to see the singing, not the dancing, but it was a lot more dancing going on than singing. But
I'm there for the show.
All right. Oh, you're a show guy?
Oh, yeah.
You're not see, I'm back 70s rock and roll, baby. Some amps, some speakers, stand still, stand in front of that mic and play, make some sounds, make some music and dazzle me without.
Got it.
I do not need everyone to be in sync. which I think is also the name of a band back in the day, right? NSYNC.
Yeah, as a boy band.
Right. And I'm a boy. I'm not a big boy band guy, but
yeah.
Adele's a big name. See,
absolutely. Yeah, that's a good one.
Man, Cam goes to bed. My Mustang broke, you know that, and I was on the highway. That was a week ago, but Cam got me through that. So again, Cam, I appreciate it.
Killing it.
All right, all right. Now we're about ready to get to the meat of the show. Just had to get some of that. But no, I do have one more quickie.
Okay, let's go.
I mean, what do you think about this big NFL thing going down this Saturday here in Dayton? I don't know if you kept up with it. I mean, do you know what's going on Saturday?
No.
At Triangle Park. You don't realize, I mean, the NFL is putting
Is there a draft show?
It's not a draft show. You really don't know?
No.
Okay. Do you know where 1920, October the 3rd, the first NFL game was played at?
No.
Well, it was played at Triangle Park in Dayton, Ohio.
Really? Okay.
The first NFL game ever was in Dayton, Ohio at Triangle Park. The first touchdown ever in the NFL took place in Dayton, Ohio.
I did not know that.
Triangle Park.
Wow.
So it's 1920, October 3. That's when that took place, Chris.
Okay.
And I realize, you weren't that old at that point.
Slightly before my time.
But I would have thought that's something you knew. And it's big on the news right now in the Dayton area that the NFL donated money to build an NFL grade field at Triangle Park.
Why?
Okay. One, I can't even say the word, to commemorate.
Commemorate?
I like, let's go with yours. Let's go with yours.
Oh boy.
Yes, they built an NFL field there to honor that's where the NFL started, where that's professional football started there. And the Bengals.
Where's Triangle Park at?
Triangle Park's downtown Dayton, right? Not far from NCR.
That's going to be trash.
Dayton is the city of firsts. There's a lot of firsts that happened in Dayton, flight and football. The Reds down the street were the first baseball, professional baseball. Chris, this is a lot of firsts around here. So,
that's going to be a Bengals practice.
That's where I was going. They are going to the Bengals are going to come up here and actually practice on the field. I don't think I think just a weekend.
Instead of going to Kentucky to do it like they have been for I don't know how many years.
They used to come up here and do it at Springboro. Remember, they would come up 1 or 2 nights at Springboro High School. So yes, the NFL's building the field. The Bengals are going to practice on it, but it's also going to be used for other, football events. I think some high school games they've talked about to be some pee-wee football and all that. But
okay. That makes some more sense. I was concerned that they're just going to build this field with no plan of what to do with it. And it's going to turn into trash in like 3 years.
It could. I mean, it is Triangle Park.
That's what I'm saying. Like I looked at where it's at. Where it's located in Dayton. I was like, that field's going to be trash.
The deal that, our community is where football began. So, the draft, what's taking place tomorrow, wouldn't be taking place if Dayton hadn't decided, hey, we got a bunch of beer drinkers down here that are willing to bang heads, and
it won't be done in time probably for me to go down and see AJ Green practice on there, but it'll be good to go over there.
No, right. I think I think they've said they thought they'd be playing or practicing on it this fall, that it would be ready by then.
Wow.
I thought that's what they were saying. So
we'll have to follow up on that. Then.
Maybe we can do a podcast live from the Triangle Park, field where football began. Chris.
Right.
All right, let's jump right into the main topic. And the first topic of the draft, because you know me, I don't think the draft and fantasy have a lot to do with each other. Personally, I know we have that argument a little once in a while. There's always a few things that affect it, but
Dynasty, yes. Redraft, no.
And that being said, as a football fan, I'm excited for it. I do get up for it. I watch it. I'm excited for it. As a fantasy person, I just kind of, okay, that's fine. I'm glad it happened. And the teams are set, and that helps. But again, we had this news last year, but after it happened, it is now being broadcast, I think, based on what I see now this year, 5 different networks are going to have the draft.
It'll be everywhere.
So it is going to be on cbssports.com/CBS Sports app if you have like the Roku or a smart TV or a Fire Stick, one of those. Okay. So if you have the CBS Sports app, you will get it. It's going to be on the NFL Network. They're going to have a live draft studio with things going on. It's going to be ABC Sports is going to have with Robin Roberts some type of a draft show. Then ESPN has their NFL Live crew, which is going to be on ESPN 1, or I think they just technically call that ESPN.
Yeah.
So ESPN 1 has the ESPN Live NFL crew, and then ESPN 2, I think for part of it, and or ESPNU is going to have the College Game Day crew doing that. So that's 5. That's 5.
Herb Street and all the rest of those guys.
Yes. So I will, like last year. Last year I had the 4 shows on that did it. So I will have all 5 on. But I do have to say, last year, and I don't, you may or may not remember, but last year I specifically said by far the best coverage that gave me the most player information was the ESPN College Game Day crew. It wasn't even, and I think that's because these are still college kids up to this point, which I think those guys have more knowledge of these guys than the NFL people do. You know what I mean? Yes, NFL people watch and they go to the combines and they're doing all that stuff, but these college game day guys have watched them for 4 years. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they've watched them as college players, and by far. Now, again, I'm not saying it's going to be the best this year, but I would recommend anybody out there listening, play around, try to find, try the different ones. Don't, until last year, I was one of those just turned on ESPN and didn't change it. I didn't even think it mattered. But if you really want more in-depth of the careers of these college kids, by far,
that'd be the way to do it. Yeah.
By far, I thought the game day crew did the best. And then,
at least my thought is that most of the other networks, they're trying to now take the pick and the player and try now to prognosticate what their output is going to be for the rest of their NFL career. Like, they stopped becoming college players and now they're NFL players. So now we want to try and get into the heads of, well, the coach really wanted this player because of X, Y, Z. And so now they're going to be able to fit into this scheme and we can project them to be just a standout player and all these abilities, and they can do this and they can do that. So I think the other networks always try and look at what future lies ahead for the prospects, but we can never really know that right then after the pick is in.
It's assumption. It's all assumption.
It's all conjecture at that point. So really the only thing that's pertinent, the only thing that's factual is what the players have actually done on the field, and those guys would probably have the better handle on it than any of them.
And I don't know the names, but I know, the guys that do it, I do watch college, the College Game Day is, how do I want to say this? I don't watch College Game Day. I guess
no, neither do I.
The preview show, but I do watch a lot of college football. I don't watch College Game Day like I do the hour before NFL. Does that make sense?
Sure,
I think some of that is because of fantasy, to be honest. I think some of that is to get, updates.
Last minute injuries and all that stuff. Yeah.
So I do, but so the College Game Day, they're all guys you're going to link and go, oh, I know that guy. They are people that are on ESPN all the time, but they're the big college, group of guys. Yeah. And, and they're just, by far last year was the most informative. I caught again, the way my system's set up, I got one 62-inch TV in the middle, and then the 40 inches around, and then the 232s below.
Right.
And what becomes the best is what ends up on the biggest screen, because that's the one I watch, first. And last year I quickly caught myself after ESPN being on the main one. I eventually went, no, this is wrong. Put the College Game Day on the big screen and move the other stuff. And
sure.
And then if they did interviews and stuff like that, I would then flip just audio back to the other. If they were interviewing a Buckeye guy or somebody I was interested in, then I would. No one said Beyonce. Lou, that's Beyonce started the thing. Lou's drinking. Yeah, Lou's now mad that we didn't say Beyonce, which is the number one pick we put in there. That was what started the pick, Lou.
Right.
Some people, they just out in California smoking pot all day. But so that's the first part of the draft. Obviously the next, and I'll let you go with the detail stuff. And then obviously the next thing is, been paying more attention. There's actually been quite a few little articles here and there and things floating out on Wes Martin. Our guy, I know just last week he was at Indianapolis. He ended up, the ones I know for sure, Bears, Detroit, Colts, Kansas City, Saints.
Yeah.
He ended up being 7 that I knew for sure. And then there was, I hadn't talked to him or or noticed a few others, but then there was other people that were saying other names, but he spent a lot of travel time out there, Wesley. So obviously that's exciting because, when his name gets called, I want to be watching,
Yes, me too.
So, hey, anything can happen. I don't think anyone's thinking it'll happen tomorrow night, but hey, I'm going to be great tomorrow night anyway, but definitely Friday and Saturday, I'm going to be tapped in and hope to hear Wesley and then hopefully a week or so later, we'll get him here on the show to talk about the draft day stuff and all that. Now he did tell me, I don't know if he said on the show or after, but draft day, he was just going to try to, he didn't like home, right? Yeah, he said he didn't like the idea of a party or anything like that since he didn't really know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
He's going to be with family. So that's
I don't think it's that far away. I mean, what is that? Like a 6-hour drive from here?
What?
Nashville.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But, that's, I think right around 6 hours.
Yeah.
So, but Wesley's just going to be here in town and, so pretty excited about that. So now let's go to the meat and the potatoes. Now that we've, we're ready now. We've been in 48 minutes. What do you, let's just start. What do you think the big stories are? What are you wanting to see or not see?
The big stories being, so who is going to take Kyler Murray? So now the stories that were the rumors were all pointing towards Kyler Murray going to the Cardinals at 1. But now in the last week or so, it's now been that Arizona souring on the prospects of taking Kyler Murray. Rosen's their guy. So they're looking at, I think the biggest rumor right now is that the Raiders are going to wind up taking Kyler Murray. Entirely possible.
They've got are they the third pick?
The Raiders?
Yeah.
I thought they're at 4.
At 4?
Don't quote me on that, but I thought they were at number 4.
Yeah. You'd think
but then the Giants.
You think we'd have been prepared.
Draft order, I guess I'm not all too concerned like when it comes to draft order because at least my issue with draft order is that all that is subject to change on draft day because there's been a ton of talk about teams trading up, teams trading back in order to get specific players, recruit more picks, things of that nature.
Right.
So I guess while I've paid attention somewhat to draft order, it's just more of what teams. I know which teams are towards the front of the draft, obviously based off of last year's performance and also some of the picks that have been traded. But at the same time, it's more about I'm looking more at team fits, like what team and team needs as well. So when the Giants were talking or allegedly talking about getting Dwayne Haskins, the quarterback, it was like, okay, great. Now we have an Eli successor. But now it seems like the new story is that they're more or less committed to Eli for another couple of years. So are they waiting for the 2020 class in order to draft Eli's successor? And will they go in a different direction like in this year's class?
Right.
So that's another one of those big stories. Really, the big stories have really revolved around the quarterbacks and what
I know. And the thing is, we even said it, and some of it just can be smoke blow. I mean, I think, and okay, real quick, it's Cardinals, 49ers, Jets, Raiders, Buccaneers, Giants, Jaguars, Lions, Bills, Broncos. That's the top 10. And then our Bengals at 11.
At 11, yep.
That's the top. I think a lot of the talk about them keeping Rosen was just that maybe someone gives them more value for him, and maybe they make a trade or are able to deal him, because there's been rumors that a couple teams were interested in him.
Rosen to the Giants, Rosen to the Redskins.
Right. Meaning last year, we're only talking a year. He was a number one, he was a top draft pick. So to get him, for a second round pick, now the rumor is they don't want to give him up for just a second round. They want a first back, but I don't know that that's going to happen.
They're not going to get that value.
I agree, but I've heard other people say they think that's why this talk is happening too. They're trying to bump that up to where they get a first round out of him and at least get some value back.
That's true. But this was also, and I think it was noted somewhere on Twitter over the last couple of days, it was about this time last year when the Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold, they were the top one, top two quarterbacks of this class. That's when those stories started to drop, and then the Baker Mayfield at number one in the class started to pick up, and that's what actually wound up happening, was that he was the first quarterback drafted. So there is at least some historical precedence to it.
Yeah, but I think last year, if I recall a little bit, the Cleveland Browns leaked out a little bit. They were even talking contract with Baker. Which, when you start hearing the contract talk, then quickly you go, all right, he is going to be their pick. Now, lies and those get thrown out there. This year, I'm not hearing anybody talk. There's been years where the number one pick was signed a week ago. Meaning we already knew who it was just a few years ago. I'm trying to think who it was. They couldn't technically sign him, but they had agreed. It was that done.
They'd already had the deals in the bag.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, because everyone knew that was going to be the top pick. And that was, I don't recall the player, but it was, 4 or 5 years ago where I know that happened. And you would hear little things about that. This year, I've heard nothing. Nobody signed anybody. Nobody, and then even back to Wesley, here in town, you hear people and he's even said there's teams that have shown a ton of interest. And then some that just show enough interest where almost like it's not, they don't even care at all. They just did it for, all right, maybe I need to look at you, but I've had enough people say that, but that's the ploy they put out there. Just because they showed a lot of interest, that could be a ploy to them think, okay, they're going to take him there. So, and then they don't. And the team that shows no interest ends up taking that guy. You hear it all the time where they go, I don't even think so. So he worked him out and they drafted him, and some of that is because they already know, hey, we're taking him if we can get him here. And we're not going to say a word,
Well, yeah, because if the thing is, especially, let's say if it's just let's say the Bengals draft him, but they didn't have him for a visit. But if they knew that the Steelers, the Browns, and the Ravens also brought him in for a visit, they're like, well, everybody else in our division likes him.
Well,
so why would we want him?
Right, but it also could be where they just knew based on tape and everything else. They're like, our best chance of getting him is not say anything. Because then maybe we get him in, and we're saying Wesley, it could be anybody, just player X, meaning we might be able to get player X at round 6 instead of round 4 because no one thinks we were interested at all. And then, that type of thing. So
you just keep your mouth shut, hold your cards close to the vest.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, and the NFL draft is good at that. That's what's kind of fun about watching it.
You just never know.
Because, again, especially ESPN, you can't turn on ESPN without a mock NFL draft. They've been going on since after the draft.
Everybody's got their mock draft out. Everybody's got their big board.
What's funny is when they're wrong. When they're wrong, they'll have 97 reasons. Well, we could have done that, but we did, blah, blah. It's like, no. Just come out, hey, we screwed up. Now, every once in a while, they'll actually just come out, hey, we didn't see that one coming at all. We don't screw that one up. But usually they'll have other excuses, like weathermen. It's like weather. Well, we said this, and this player is, not far from that. They always like, it's kind of funny. But the quarterbacks are the big thing.
Right.
But the big rumor is, in the first round, it's going to be a lot of defensive players.
Yes, that is the strength of this class, I think, by far. So a lot of teams that are looking to bolster their defense, because at least when it comes to offensive production, this is more of one of those down years
Right.
So because we don't have an Ezekiel Elliott, a Saquon Barkley, a Leonard Fournette, just any player that is just like leaps and bounds ahead of his class, but also could immediately perform in the NFL.
That doesn't mean one doesn't come out of it. That's what's kind of fun too. It can be a draft room and goes, oh, there's no Hall of Famer in this group, or there's no, and you can end up with 4 of them. That's
not to say that there's no good talent. It's just more of, instead of having this like bright shiny diamond at the front of the draft, I just go for gems here, or ruby there, or crystal there. Like, I mean, there's enough there that people can recoup value on like the second and third day of the draft versus having to spend first round capital like they would have in years past.
Right. I agree. But I do agree. And again, even back to what I pay attention on Twitter right now is all Bengals, because I don't pay much attention to fantasy stuff right now because I don't care. And I don't think I have a clue what the Bengals are going to do, and I don't think anyone else. The Bengals over the history of Mike Brown, not Paul. I mean, Mike Brown. When you say play it safe, it doesn't always work out that way. Just always seems to take the best available, and it's just always been that way. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter the position. Doesn't
matters. If a talent drops where they're picking 11. So if someone was picked, if somebody was this whole draft season was picked to go 6th or 7th and they drop to 11, even if it's not a need, that's who they take. I mean, it just happens every year. What athletic guy / drops, to them at 11, and that seems who they take.
Yeah.
I'm not a Dalton guy. But at the same time, I'm not a young quarterback guy. I mean, I'd rather them take linemen and defense. Personally, I think defense is where they need help. I'd rather take defense, and I'll live with Dalton. If our defense is better, Dalton can be okay.
As long as I would hope that they wind up getting a quarterback, let's say in the 3rd or 4th round.
I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with that. Although the prospects for this year drop off like pretty steeply after, let's say, Will Greer.
You don't have to draft. 4th or 5th round. If you cut them 2 years later, is not a loss in the NFL. I mean,
no, rookie contracts are so cheap that they're not hurting you, at least cap wise anyway. So it's not going to hurt you to keep them on the roster for the next 4 or 5 years.
And I do agree. Cam did say in there, the West Virginia quarterback, Will Greer, he is going to drop to that later round, and he is
that's what I'm saying. Like after Greer, I mean, there's a pretty steep drop off, and I think that he would be a great prospect to try and hit on, like at that point in the 3rd round. I think that'd be solid.
Right. So, but like I said, the Bengals, like I said, the reason they can't have the draft in Cincinnati is the boos used to be loud in New York all the time, but I think it'd be the Bengals drafting is just always. I shouldn't say that.
Nah.
Their grade is usually high because they get players that are, again, how do I say this for fantasy people? They pick the high ADP players.
Yeah.
Might not be best for your team, may not even help you win, but at the end of the draft, it gives you a good grade. The Bengals draft will be a B+ or, a B- or something, because they do take ADP players,
yes.
But
best value.
Yeah. So, it just kind of, cracks me up there. Anything else major that we need to, again, because to me, talking about it doesn't mean much because it's going to happen tomorrow, and there's been enough
there's been enough chatter about it. But yeah, I think that's really the big thing is like what's going to happen with Kyler Murray, because I think. And
I'm still not a fan of Kyler Murray. I mean, I would not. I don't care if the Bengals are. I don't care if he falls to 11. I don't want him.
No.
I know you'd say that, but I don't. I'm not a fan.
But no, I don't think. Well, the Bengals wouldn't draft him because that's not. I'm less inclined to believe the Bengals would draft him because that type of quarterback doesn't currently match what they do. Even if they are invested in Zach Taylor and they want to try and make this whole. New style offense, the Rams style of offense, try and work for the Bengals. I don't think investing in a quarterback of that stature is really what they're going to want to do. While they might try and run a ton of play action, that's not.
I'm just
like
saying
he doesn't fit their archetype.
Yeah.
But I would say though that at least for the Bengals, really what happens with Kyler Murray is going to, if the Cardinals don't take him, it's going to have a pretty massive domino effect on the rest of the league. But I don't think the Bengals will get involved in it, but I think it's going to then trigger a ton of other moves within the league that will. I mean, it's going to be pretty interesting to watch.
Right.
So I'm really interested to see how the first round, just that first pick. That's really all I want to see is the first pick. Because the first pick is Kyler Murray. I just think everything just kind of falls into place.
Man.
There might be a couple of.
I do agree with that. If he doesn't go number one, things will really mix.
Oh yeah, it's going to go. Yeah, I think it'll go off the rails like pretty quickly. Because if the Raiders wind up taking him at 4, then Derek Carr? What do we do with Derek Carr at that point? Does he get traded? Are they going to go all in and just say that now that Kyler Murray is now the new franchise quarterback, and then like Derek Carr becomes a backup somewhere?
No.
Yeah, that has like immediate fantasy implications.
One of those coaches that might even be one of those coaches say, no, we're going to set him for, he comes from that age of coaching where you set out for a year before you became.
Yeah, Gruden seems like the type that would make him sit behind and think that he has, like Brett Favre trying to teach, Aaron Rodgers like type of deal, even though Derek Carr is no Brett Favre, and we don't even know if Kyler Murray could become Aaron Rodgers. That's very likely.
Now, so draft wise, I just tell everybody watch it. Have fun. We'll talk about it. Obviously, things will happen in fall, and next week we'll be talking about it. A couple of fantasy things, though, that to me did happen this week, especially if you're dealing with Dynasty, which I know you do, and that's Tyreek Hill is not going to be charged with domestic violence. And I know that seems like a bad thing to discuss, but fantasy-wise, you know what? If you were looking to trade him, I mean, hey, if you want to try to trade for him, you should have done it before yesterday when they announced that. But
yeah, but I guess the thing is, like, while he's not going to get charged, that doesn't mean that the commissioner is not going to suspend him.
I know, but charges from actual, police departments or prosecutors usually mean more is going to happen.
Because the only thing that needs to happen now is that if the county like DA or whatever said they didn't have sufficient evidence, the only thing that needs to happen now is for somebody to leak whatever evidence that was available. Right. It hits the news, and then all of a sudden that Goodell has enough ammo to then say, well, it makes the shield look bad, so now we got to suspend you.
Right. Now, but the real big fantasy thing, though, that happened today was a re-signing, and that's Tucker is still going to be the kicker for the Ravens for 4 years.
Yeah.
I think for fantasy,
have you listened to him sing?
Right. If you have Tucker in your dynasty, you are relieved.
Yes. Have you listened to him sing?
Oh, he is entertaining in all kinds of aspects.
Oh, yes.
He can sing. I've heard him on a podcast. I've heard him a few other places. Very entertaining person to listen to. I just jotted that down because I thought it was funny, because a lot of people don't want kickers at all. And you know what? If you're in a league, dynasty league with kickers.
Hey, hashtag kickers matter.
Right. Kickers do matter. But that's a pretty big deal. Anything else happen in the actual NFL that isn't draft related that I would have missed or anything like that? I didn't know.
No, I think that's about it. I think everybody's just kind of waiting for tomorrow to hit or for this weekend to hit. And,
do we have a start time? Do you know a start time? Is it start at
8 o'clock?
It starts at 8?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
The clock starts at 8 o'clock.
The clock. So by 8:15, we'll have the first pick. And we talked about that too. Right. Friday starts at 7. That's what I thought. One of them starts early. Friday starts at 7, though. So, go out, mow grass and do all kinds of stuff, and then come in on Friday at 8 and realize you missed, because I think the clock drops to 5 minutes already. I mean, it goes from 15 to round 1 to 5 to 3, I think, something like that. Then it goes pretty, it drops pretty quickly.
Right.
So that'll be kind of fun. Like I said, I'm excited. It'll be pop some beers and have fun and watch the different networks. So, Marshawn Lynch retired.
Yeah, that was either earlier today or last night, but I kind of expected that one.
All right. Thanks. Cam just said he's in bed listening to us on his Chromebook trying to fall asleep. I would think if this is the show to fall asleep to. I mean,
yeah.
Yes, we are.
But no, I think everybody. I think at least from the circles that I run in, the discussion had always been around Jalen Richard kind of taking over that backfield, or they're going to wind up drafting a running back at some point.
That's definitely a situation fantasy-wise to me. That actually their whole offense really depends on what happens in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
And especially to me if they get Murray, because now, well, if you don't have a running back and you don't, blah, 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 do you want to, do you still start him? And unfortunately, wasn't his problem running back wise was blocking though, right? So to me, you wouldn't put a young quarterback in, and then if he's your main running back, you'd have to worry about blocking. That was one of the, issues with him anyway. In a backfield was his blocking, but I don't know. Andrea says Easy's boring. Sorry, Andrea. We're just trying to do our best. But I do have a green screen that says Legend Sports Network, Lenny Melnick, FantasySports.com.
Always the professional.
Yeah, which I don't know. I don't know if you know. I know you're not come to the website, every day like me, but the website's being changed and updated. This is our last show on the Mixler app. Thank you. So we will be switching over to Spreaker, which we used anyway for my iTunes thing. So I've been using that, but yes, it will eliminate one of my streams. The new software I use for our video stream, we had no flickering. The video quality is much better. That's why I switched and wanted to try this one. This is, this uses a streaming server instead of my machine. So, wanted to try it. We tried it last night. I'd had a couple weeks in a row where my Hangouts and was screwing up, and everyone said, well, try this app because this, me and you were logged into a server somewhere. We're not both coming through my machine and serving the video out. So I dig it. Yeah, it worked well. And again, we could do crazy things like this, where you see our big heads, or where I'm much more important than you. If we have multiple or I can just be me, and then who even knows you're on.
Oh man, that's messed up.
I can share a screen. And have me and you up there. Actually, hold on. We'll test that real quick. I'm not. If we hit share screen, chat room, share, and then see we have our faces here. We could have like a draft board now, or
I like it.
So I mean that's new, and then or I can just hit here and the screen come up by itself, or just me and a little screen. So I have a lot more to play with now. So okay. And I just cut you off. There we go. Oh, I brought you back. So, and I can do things like this, which I meant to do during the show, and then I didn't do it. But see, I can put up a banner like this. Do you see that now? Come to the website, join us live at Lenny Melnick. So I can do that. I can have it say all kinds of crazy things. Hey, we're the Andrea and Lenny are changing the site, updating stuff. So I thought this was the time for us to try some things and, be prepared for the future, Chris. We have to be ready. We have to be ready for the NFL season. Which starts any minute, right? I mean, the fantasy season starts any minute. Yeah.
Well, technically people say that the 2019 season starts at 8:00 tomorrow. As soon as the Cardinals are on the clock, that is the start of the 2019 season.
All right. Well, don't tell Andrea, because Andrea is a baseball person. She doesn't think baseball should start till after. Even July. She thinks is too early.
Baseball, SMH.
Yeah. So, all right, Chris. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Always.
Where can people? Which again, if you're watching this, you get to see Chris's little,
you can find me like right there. It's like right there.
Wait, you're at it. All right, I'm there. Oh, wait. Right, we can do that right here. We can do that, Chris. We can do that now. So, Chris Allen, FFWX, and you put up most of your work on your Twitter. I've noticed you keep most of that up there. So
yeah, got some stuff out for 4 for 4. We're ramping up our off-season content. So now I've done some dynasty work from them. I've got a redraft article coming out here soon. Our partnership with Sports Illustrated, because I'll be writing for them as well this summer and also during the season. So we're planning out our content for them as well. So I'll have work coming out. So y'all can find me on Twitter.
If SI needs someone to write the little things that go underneath the swimsuit model pictures, I can do that.
See, that is the first thing that people always ask me about when I tell them that I work for Sports Illustrated.
Why would we ask anything else?
As soon as I mention that I write for Sports Illustrated, they're like, so do you get to do any stuff with the swimsuit? It's like, come on, man.
Fantasy is fantasy.
All right.
We love you. You know that. Well, again, thanks for coming out, everybody. We will see you next Wednesday night at 10 o'clock. Lenny, there's no shows after us anymore. No one could handle following the excitement that we put out there.
Absolutely.
But Lenny will be back talking baseball tomorrow at 9. Yes, next week we'll the heartbeat of the show will be the draft results. And then, yes, we're probably already got marked down. The next couple weeks after that, we're going to definitely get into Dynasty because I've never played it. And
I can talk your ear off about Dynasty.
I know, and that's the thing. I think I'm going to try to get into one of the Dynasty leagues at Lenny's site with the football guys. So I'm going to need some expert advice. So
all right,
we'll need that. So everybody, thanks for coming out. I don't know who was left. I know Lou was out there. Andrea's out there. Cha-Cha was for just a second. Cam's been out there.
Yeah.
Cam's dead now. So that's good. And there's a hockey game. I don't know if it's over or not. There was a hockey game. I'll find something to watch for the next hour or so. So everybody, thanks for coming out. Chris, say goodnight.
This has been Just a Fantasy Fan Podcast. And to keep your fantasies going, follow us at justafantasyfan.com. Say goodnight. Good night.